Like the fiery phoenix who is resurrected from his ashes, you too search for a second chance at life.
I told you to return to Sparta!
Find these ashes and free the phoenix. Only then will you find the path to the Temple of the Fates.
Why do you leave Sparta unprotected?
He came under the cloak of darkness to Sparta. Zeus, the people cried out for you.
The Spartans would see him as one of their own, a true son of Sparta.
They begged for their god to save them. I had to seek out the sisters to change the fate of our beloved Sparta. Now you are all that is left. I have faith that our brothers of Sparta will live on through the true god of war.
Zeus!
All is not lost, Kratos. Victory favors you, but you must grab hold of your destiny and command it. There is a war on the horizon, and we need you to lead us into battle.
To what end?
The Oracle may have read spoken truth.
Whoever controlled the marked war controlled the fate of Olympus. If you relent, Zeus will torment you still. He will not rest knowing you live.
Imagine caring for a creature such as yourself will not let Ares' fate be my own.
You will have no rest until you destroy him. The time to act is upon us, Kratos.
Gaia speaks nothing but half-truths and falsehoods.
This battle is just the beginning of a great war that is to come. Take within you this fire that burned your beloved Sparta. Let it fuel your rage and hasten your steps towards destiny. Gain control of your thread. You will be able to return to the moment when Zeus betrayed you.
Bring down
Can you ever forgive doing the bidding of the gods? Come down here and face me!
Fates have not been victory for you. Your soul will never find peace for what you have become.
I am what the gods have made me!
Be certain of that. The cycle ends here.
Welcome back to God of War 2's True Endgame. This is episode 11. This is part 1 of our 2-part finale. This is, I think, the longest episode of the series. Yeah, I think so. I think this 49-minute episode is the longest one of the series. That's cool. All right, welcome back. Well, let's play God of War 2. We are in the Temple of the Fates. This is the final area of the game. Technically, I mean, there's one more after this, but it all really comes down to the Temple of the Fates, basically. Welcome. We are about 8 hours in. We have about 1 more hour to go. Again, God of War 2 is the longest of the Greek saga God of Wars, clocking in at a little over 9 hours for the average playthrough, whereas the other ones clocked in between 4 to 8, depending on which game we're talking about. So God of War 2 is the longest. Hooray! We're almost done though. We have a puzzle, then a boss, then an enemy gauntlet, and then a puzzle boss, and then we're done. So yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. We're already in the middle of our puzzle room. Very simple. Once you get everything moving, it's just a matter of making sure you ring these 2 bells at the same time. You saw how I did it earlier in the video, so just go ahead and follow my steps, and you will be able to get the face of Lachesis to crank a little bit. And once you do that, you can go ahead and manipulate this platform to face her directly, and just create a little path for yourself. Before that, we're going to go ahead and get some extra secret bonus chests that are on both sides of this giant room. There's a total of 6 chests, 3 on each side. Just go ahead and do what I did, and you will get yourself a treasure trove of red warps for the end game here. Again, in the previous episode, I talked about how we upgraded everything that we needed to upgrade, but it doesn't hurt to get a jump start on upgrading everything completely. That way you can have an easier time for Challenge of the Titans, which is what I'm doing. That's why I'm getting these. It's also good for the collectibles guide to get all this stuff. Open up that final chest, and there we go. That is all the secret stuff in this room. There's a couple of more chests, but we won't be able to get them just yet. We have to actually complete the puzzle of this room to get them. So let's go ahead and just manipulate this this little thing to face Lachesis, and then we'll go ahead and move forward. These gates are locked, so we can't get the chest behind them, but obviously once we destroy this face, we will have a little tunnel that we can explore that will take us directly to them. So, hooray! And there's our 2 chests right here. Again, lots of red orbs. We started this little area with very few, and now we have more than 8,000, so you can imagine just how many you would get in a regular difficulty that isn't Titan mode. Again, Titan mode divides the number of red orbs you get in half, so really, in a regular non-Titan mode playthrough of God of War 2, you should be able to collect enough red orbs to upgrade everything, I think. And if not, then you should have almost enough to get everything. Unlike the previous God of Wars that we've covered, you know, namely the original God of War and the Ghost of Sparta, you don't really get red orbs for the final boss. So we have almost no opportunities left to get more red orbs, but you get a decent amount of them, even in Titan mode. Enough to upgrade all the important stuff. Welcome to the Throne of Lachesis, big cutscene, then boss fight. Here we go.
Been expecting you.
Out of my way.
Your resolve is admirable,
Even if it is misguided.
None can change their destiny, Kratos. We sisters determine the fate of all. It was I who deemed that the Titans lose the Great War, and I who have allowed you to come this far. It is not your destiny to kill Zeus.
You no longer control my destiny.
I see Gaia has filled you with her lies.
I have warned you. Let me pass.
You have always amused us, Kratos. But know this, mortal. There is no power greater than the Sisters of Fate. If you challenge us, you will die.
Okay. Our first boss fight for this video is Lachesis. Lachesis is actually very easy and very reminiscent of Legend of Zelda. This is a tennis match. Well, it doesn't have to be a tennis match, but I would recommend you do everything in your power to make this a Legend of Zelda style tennis match. Lachesis has a few attacks, she has a few close range attacks, and she has her long range throwing green orbs of fate magic at you. Get her to do that. Get her to toss the green orbs of magic at you. You want her to do that because if you repel, if you parry those back at her, not only do you do some damage to her, but you get health and magic back for that. That is not something that you get. That is not something you don't get health and magic back for parrying all of her attacks. Just the long range attack that she's doing. That if you parry back that attack, then you get health and magic back. So I would recommend you keep your distance to force her to do the long range attack as many times as possible. Unfortunately, this means that this is a very slow fight and a very long fight because she has a lot of health. Obviously, this is Titan mode. But this is the optimal strategy for dealing with her. Keep your distance, let her do the tennis attack. If she tries to do regular attacks, you can block them, you can parry them, but recommended that you get her to do the long range attacks so that you can keep getting health and magic back. I don't use that much magic against her, but you should if you're doing this fight, because you're going to get all your health and magic back for phase 2 anyway. So I would absolutely recommend that you use your magic here, Chronos Rage, to speed things up a little bit. I don't, but I would recommend you do so. And just keep playing tennis, keep playing tennis, keep playing tennis, keep parrying, keep getting back health and magic, keep forcing her to do that. She is not going to try to shake things up until she gets about halfway down to her health, where she does these attacks from where she does these drop down attacks, these little drop down shockwave attacks. She's still she's not really going to do the tennis thing anymore. She can occasionally still do the tennis attack, but she's mostly now going to stick to doing the regular short range attacks, or the aerial drop down attacks. So keep running around, keep your distance, let her do the attack. She doesn't really. I say it's a shockwave attack. It has an area effect, but it doesn't. It doesn't have like a shockwave. So just keep running, keep your distance. You'll be able to let her do the attack, safely stay away, get close to her, do some damage again and again and again. It's a very, very simple pattern. Again, she has a lot of health, so this is a very, very slow fight. Very, very simple strategies, but that unfortunately means that you have to repeat them ad nauseum again and again and again and again and again. Occasionally, she'll do her long range tennis attacks, but not that often, nowhere near as often as in part 1 of the fight. Eventually, we will get to a point where she is going to stop doing the aerial drop down attacks on you. Once that happens, we've moved on to the final part of the fight. The final part of the fight has her take to the skies for the entirety of the fight. She is no longer going to do regular tennis attacks or regular short range attacks or the drop down attack. She's just going to stay in the sky. She's going to do some attacks that leave the ground completely covered in dangerous green magic that can hurt you just by standing on it. So you want to take advantage of the grapple points. You want to make sure that you're grappling from point to point to dodge her attacks. She has a few. She can just hurl green globs at you. She can hurl her whole spear at you, which is the most dangerous of her attacks, because that attack has a big hitbox that is very difficult to deal with. That attack right there, that one is the most difficult of her final phase attacks that she can throw at Kratos. Thankfully, she doesn't do it that often, nowhere near as often as she hurls the globs or as she does the electricity-esque thing to the ground to make it so that Kratos can't walk on the ground anymore. It's not that difficult overall. It's just very, very long-winded because she has a lot of health, and because it's Titan mode, you don't do that much damage, so it takes a while. But we're almost done with this particular phase of the fight, and yes, all 3 sections here was phase 1 of the fight. We're done now. Moving on to phase 2.
You do not defy fate, Kratos! For we have woven the events of your life. And now, that life is at an end. We control your destiny, foolish mortal! With a whim, we can end your life! Or allow you to live. Search your memory, Kratos. The sword which you stand on delivered your victory against Ares. Without it, you will be the one who dies this day, not Ares. We can change your past and set your future. This is the power of the Fates!
Phase 2 of this fight takes place at the Temple of the Oracle from God of War 1. This is Atropos, the second sister of Fate, another primordial. The sisters of Fate are all primordials, and Atropos is the second sister that we're going to be fighting. Hooray! Yay! So Atropos is, I would argue, even easier than Lachesis. Atropos keeps her distance. She does long-distance attacks. She has unarmored sentry soldiers from God of War 2, not the God of War 1 variants, but the God of War 2 sentry soldiers variants to hurl at you. They respawn infinitely. You can go ahead and just use basic Kronos Rage to keep them at bay. Again, you get a refill of health and magic before this part of the fight, this part of the boss fight, so you don't have to worry too much about conserving your magic or taking too many hits during the Lachesis fight, because you get it all back for Atropos in because you get it all back for Atropos. Atropos keeps her distance. She hurls a slow green globs of fate magic at you, which can be kind of difficult to time and throw back at her. But try. The time's a little bit off, but you can do big damage by throwing those back at her. The soldiers are just going to be annoying and just try to try to keep it distracted so she can do damage on you. And she's also going to occasionally pop up close to the Blade of the Gods, the blade that we used at the end of God of War 1 that we're standing on, and try to break it in order to destroy Fate. If she kills Kratos or if she breaks the blade, she wins. So don't let her break the blade. Anytime you see her pop up close to the sword, use Kronos Rage. Make a point of using Kronos Rage on her when she's close. That way you can do some damage. That green glob that she's hurling onto the ground to try to damage the blade also damages Kratos. It has a bigger hitbox than you think. It's difficult to deal with, which is why when she's close and when she's doing that, you want to be using Kronos Rage to do damage on her. Hopefully fully powered up Kronos Rage so that you can do some big damage on her. Again, when she gets close to the blade, just make sure you use Kronos Rage in case she starts using her fate magic to try and break it. You don't want her to do that at all. You can afford to let her break it a little bit, but anytime you see her get close, just use Kronos Rage magic. It's going to help big time in speeding up the fight. Be careful again. That green magic she's spewing onto the blade has a bigger area of effect than you think. Has a bigger hitbox than you think, and it's more difficult to deal with than you think. Keep your distance from the soldiers, use the occasional Kronos Rage, don't waste all your Kronos Rage. Anytime you're using Kronos Rage to keep the soldiers at bay, just use one. By this point, it should be fully powered up, which means that you will be able to, which means that just one Kronos Rage is going to be enough to keep the soldiers stunned. We're almost done with the fight. There is a secret cutscene if you lose. I didn't lose normally, though, so we're about to actually watch the secret cutscene play out. Yeah, we're about to watch a secret cutscene of what happens if you lose in this particular phase of the Sisters of Fate fight.
No one can change their true destiny!
So yeah, that's a special cutscene that happens if you lose during this particular phase of the Sisters of Fate fight, similar to how if you lost to Ares Phase 2 against the Kratos clones, you got a special cutscene for that. But here we go, we're done with Atropos.
With you, Kratos. This power was never meant for a mortal like you!
Okay, phase 3 of the fight, we're now going to be dealing with Lachesis and Atropos, basically at the same time. Yeah, basically at the same time. It is more difficult than the previous 2 phases, but I wouldn't say it is impossible. I died one last time. It is the final time that I died in the Let's Play, which is pretty amazing because I consider the enemy gauntlet that's coming up after this to be more difficult than this boss. I also consider the final boss to be more difficult than this particular boss, but this is the last time I died in the game, so that's really cool. I was really happy with myself that I only died 28 times and that this was the last time. All right, so the final phase, I died one last time to it, but we got that over with. You want to focus on hurting Lachesis for the start of this. If you don't focus on hurting Lachesis, you're not going to be able to finish this phase of the fight. You must focus on doing damage to Lachesis. Anytime a Tropos pops up, she's going to do one of 2 things. She's going to hurl green globs, or she's going to do that big beam attack that spews across the entire ground. I say focus on doing damage to Lachesis, and that's true. But when a Tropos pops in, either on the left either on the left mirror or the right mirror, do a quick Kronos Rage just to get her to disappear. Once you do enough damage to Lachesis, you will be able to slow down time using her head, as you've been doing throughout the entirety of the game so far. Once you slow down time, that's when you can do damage to a Tropos. And once you do enough damage to a Tropos, you will damage the mirror. And at that point, all you have to do is just shatter the mirror. And you're going to do this 2 more times in order to finish the fight. So part 2 of this final phase of the fight is exactly the same. You focus on damaging Lachesis. Anytime a Tropos pops up, now she can only pop up in the mirror from the left. She never pops up in the mirror in the middle, because that's saved for special attacks for the final part of the fight. Now she can only pop up in the mirror of the left, and so now just anytime she pops up, just use Kronos Rage to get her to disappear for a little bit and focus on attacking Lachesis. This is the final phase, so use whatever magic and take whatever damage you need in order to get this done. So it's fine. You can afford it. Again, focus on damaging Lachesis. You're not going to be able to slow down time to attack a Tropos and destroy the mirrors that she's popping out of if you don't hurt Lachesis. So make a point of damaging Lachesis. Anytime a Tropos pops up, just use Kronos Rage. Now that we've hurt Lachesis enough, we can slow down time. We can now lay the hurt on a Tropos. Use any and all attacks you have at this point. Go ahead and let her retreat back into her mirror, slow down time again, just because I didn't actually have to slow down time again for that, but I did it just because. And we've shattered the second mirror. The final part of this fight is a little bit different now that there's only 1 mirror left. Lachesis is going to resort to her desperation attacks, which is going to have her go to where the middle mirror is. So just to where the middle mirror is, not the middle mirror, the middle mirror is. So go ahead and just do a little bit more damage to her. She's going to do her desperation attacks now, which is these pillars of green magic. Once she starts doing that, you're really close to the end. So just use Barbarian Hammer, use Blades of Athena, use whatever you want in conjunction with Rage of the Titans to lay in enough damage to get these sisters into QTE kill range. This is it. This is the final QTE. There is no more after this. You will have dealt with 2 of these Sisters of Fate after this QTE attack. So after this QTE cutscene here. So there we go. We can now trap Lachesis behind the mirror, and we can go ahead and shatter the final mirror, and we will have dealt with 2 of the 3 Sisters of Fate. Specifically, we have dealt with Lachesis and Tropos. Lachesis is the sister who measures the threads of fate, determining how long a mortal, god, or titan's lifespan would be, and Atropos cuts the threads, ending the life. Now all we have left is Clotho. Clotho is the one who actually weaves all the threads in the first place. So we don't need Lachesis because we don't care how long our thread is. We don't need Atropos because we don't want to cut our thread. We need Clotho because she is the one who has all of the threads. And here we also have some nice foreshadowing for future events, as well as one little Easter egg that will lead to a very funny little thing that I put into this video. So enjoy that.
Oh, this isn't going to be about Jesus, is it?
All things are about Jesus, Homer. Except this.
Yeah. There we go. The Sisters of Fate are primordials. It's not the first time Kratos has dealt with primordials. We have dealt with the Furies and Ascension. Thanatos technically is is a primordial, but I guess in the God of War series he's considered a god. I don't know. That's a little more loosey-goosey with what Thanatos is, but the Furies were definitely primordials. These are not the first primordials that we have dealt with. And deal with them we have. We have already dealt with 2 of them, and now we only have 1 to go. Before we get to Clotho, however, we have one of the most difficult encounters in the game. Another one that I can't believe I did in one try for the actual recording. Here we go. It's time for the big enemy gauntlet after I upgrade Atlas Quake to level 3. Again, we don't need it. I'm not going to use it, but it's good to have for Challenge the Titans. The enemy gauntlet. Oh boy, we'll talk about it after this little bit from Clotho.
It is through my threads that all life is born. You must not tamper with destiny, Kratos. You will destroy everything.
Okay, the enemy gauntlet. Let's go ahead and take this one wave at a time. Wave 1, every single wave is punctuated with the barriers that pop up. Wave 1 is a bunch of armored God of War 1 soldiers and 3 berserkers. For Wave 1, you want to make sure that you use the Head of your Rayleigh magic to stone and shatter the 3 berserkers as soon as you can. Do whatever it takes. Just make sure that you stone and shatter all 3 berserkers. After that, you can go ahead and systematically and slowly deal with the God of War 1 armored soldiers. This is a long gauntlet made up of, I think, 7 waves of enemies. You want to be absolutely sure you are not wasting your magic unless absolutely necessary. For Wave 1, you absolutely must use magic to dispatch of the berserkers as soon as possible. In the enemy gauntlet, you want to make sure that you are dealing with just one type of enemy if you can. The enemy gauntlet becomes infinitely more difficult if you allow, for example, in this wave, if you allow for berserkers and for the armored God of War 1 soldiers to remain on screen at the same time. It's very, very difficult to time and parry 2 different kinds of attacks from 2 different kinds of enemies. However, if you're only dealing with one kind of enemy, then it's much easier to predict and to parry back attacks, as I've been doing this whole time. Use Head of your Rayleigh to dispatch of the berserkers, and then just use regular parries and the classic launching enemies up and mashing circle strategy to deal with the God of War 1 soldiers. You absolutely must and should do that. And that will mark the end of Wave 1. For Wave 2, we have to keep moving a little bit, keep making our way down this spiral here. Wave 2 consists of a batch of unarmored sentries and God of War 1 armored soldiers. You absolutely do not want to use any magic here at all. Use your parries, grab the unarmored enemies to throw them at the armored ones, obviously. Don't waste your magic with Wave 2. It is absolutely not worth it. You have to conserve your magic. You're only going to get one real refill before the final wave, so you absolutely want to make sure that you're using your magic only in the most important areas where you absolutely need magic. Wave 3 is Gorgons and Sirens. This wave is a little bit more complicated. Essentially, I don't do it well at all, unfortunately, because just how the enemies are placed here. Essentially, you want to use the Stare of the Gorgons to freeze the Sirens and shatter the Sirens. That is what you want to do. And once you're dealing with just Gorgons, then you can go ahead and carry back their Stare at them as well, and go ahead and shatter them as well. Even though it's very, very difficult to shatter Gorgons, as we'll talk about in just a second. Unfortunately, the enemy placement here was really, really, really bad, so it takes me a while to properly do the strategy of freezing the Sirens so that I could shatter them quickly and just have to deal with Gorgons. Again, in the enemy gauntlet, you absolutely only want to be dealing with one enemy type at a time. If you have a way to get rid of to eliminate an enemy type from a battle, in this case eliminate the Sirens completely, so I only have to deal with Gorgon parries and Gorgon timing, then that is optimal. That is what you want to do for this fight. So use the Stare, shatter all the sirens. I cannot believe that siren in the back didn't get frozen as well when I had when I had done the when I had parried back the stair. But now that all the sirens are gone, we can go ahead and just focus on the Gorgons. Unfortunately, it takes a while to deal with the Gorgons as well. The Gorgons, they're not immune to being stoned. They're not immune to being shattered after being stoned, but there is such a tight window to shatter them after they are stoned that it can take a few tries in order to freeze them and to shatter them after they've been frozen. There is such a tight window to kill them once they've been frozen by their own parried stare. As you'll see, there's going to be quite a few times that they just break out, even though they shouldn't, because I hit them right on time. But whatever, it is what it is. I consider the Gorgons and Sirens phase of Gorgon and Sirens wave of the enemy gauntlet to be the second most difficult wave of this enemy gauntlet. There's one wave that I consider more difficult that we'll get to in a little bit, but this is the second most difficult wave. If you have problems with this wave, don't worry, that makes sense. This is one of the two super difficult waves of this enemy gauntlet, and the reason why a lot of people are going to die is going to come from this wave or the one that's coming soon. As I said, you only have one, well, technically two refills of magic. You absolutely must conserve your magic as much as possible to make this enemy gauntlet work. Otherwise, you're going to be in very, very big trouble as you get into the later waves of the gauntlet. Wave 4 is just a bunch of God of War 1 armored soldiers from Athens. So don't waste a single speck of your magic on them. Just parry back their attacks. Once they're weak, grab them, throw them. You know the drill. Classic God of War stuff. If you have the opportunity, launch them up into the sky, mash circle. All the classic God of War 1 strategies are in effect here. Just parry, just launch. Once you get the opportunity, I didn't because I got really worried that these soldiers would do a retaliatory attack while I was trying to launch another one up into the sky. So I really waited until I had a better opportunity to launch them up in the sky because I didn't want to take any damage. I wanted to be at full health and full magic for this phase of the fight. Wave 5 of the fight is Satyrs and Hades Minotaurs. This is the hardest wave of the fight. For this wave of the fight, I would recommend you use all your magic. Just all of it. Make sure you prioritize. Make sure the magic is hurting the Satyrs. You have to prioritize killing the Satyrs as soon as possible, or you're not going to win this round. So, anytime there's an opportunity, use Kronos magic, do damage to the Satyrs. If you have an opportunity to grab them without any enemies around, go ahead. You can control the pace of the fight by just grabbing Satyrs, as you may recall. This wave of the fight is the most difficult. Prioritize killing the Satyrs as best you can. Killing the Minotaurs is also good because you get some magic back for killing them. But yes, this wave of the fight is, I consider, the most difficult. Even more, I messed up the Gorgon one, but this is the one that I would consider to be truly difficult. The Satyrs and the Minotaurs. So save all your magic for this, and then use it all for this. This is a wave of the fight where it is okay to use all of your magic. It is okay to use a little bit of Head of Euryale for phase 1 with the Berserkers. It's okay to use some Kronos Rage and maybe Atlas Quake in wave 3 when you're dealing with the Gorgons and the Sirens. I didn't, but if you wanted to use some Kronos Rage or some Atlas Quake to better your odds against the Gorgons and the Sirens, then go ahead and do that. And for this particular wave against the Satyrs and the Hades Minotaurs, use everything you've got. Whether it is Atlas Quake, whether it is Kronos Rage, use all of your magic here. For the very first Satyr that appears in this wave, make sure you use the Head of Euryale to very, very quickly freeze it. That way you can just get that one out of the way and not have to deal with it anymore. And then just use Kronos Rage, just use Atlas Quake, and just deal with everything else. At this point, we have one more magic refill. There's actually 2 more magic refills, but the last magic refill is hidden behind the final wave of the fight. So this is our last regular safe magic refill that we have for this enemy gauntlet. But we've dealt with the hard part. The Satyrs and the Hades Minotaurs are the hardest part of this gauntlet. Now we can move on to something easier. Wave 6 is exactly the same as Wave 2 in that it is a bunch of unarmored sentries and God of War 1 armored soldiers from Athens. So same strategy as in Wave 2, just throw the unarmored ones at the armored ones, do the things that you do in God of War 1 to deal with these enemies, you know, parry, launch them up into the sky, mash circle. You know the drill. Throw them once they're ready to be killed. Very straightforward stuff. And with that, Wave 6 is done, and we move on to the final wave of the enemy gauntlet. This wave is more unarmored sentries, more armored soldiers from God of War 1, and 3 Cyclopes, 3 Cyclopes. These are the Cyclope variants from Destiny's Atrium, from the ones that we fought in the foyer, the not giant berserker versions of the Cyclopes. Those are the ones we're fighting, but they have weapons this time, so they're a little bit more dangerous. They can do a little bit more damage. I would absolutely recommend you use the Head of Euryale to freeze the 3 of them. That is the only magic that is fully required for this final wave of the fight, is Head of Euryale to freeze them, because the Cyclopes have a lot of health. If you don't have enough magic, then don't worry, there is 1 extra magic and health refill here. It is hidden behind the fight, however, so you do have to be careful and kind of maneuver your way around to... You do need to be careful and kind of maneuver your way around the enemies here to deal with... To get at the magic and at the health. But if you manage to get to the magic and at the health, then congratulations. You should have enough to freeze and shatter the 3 Cyclopes, and if you manage to freeze and shatter the 3 Cyclopes, the fight is basically over, because there's only 3 of them in this final wave, and after you've dealt with all 3 Cyclopes, it's just the unarmored soldiers and the armored God of War 1 enemies that we've dealt with in God of War 1 and in previous waves of this gauntlet. So very straightforward at this point. You can use whatever you want. The rest of your magic, the rest of the Rage of the Titans, go ahead. Use it all. It's fine. This is all good. There's no more... There's no more to really seriously worry about here. So we just have these 2 left. And with that... Oh, another one dropped down. 2 more dropped down. Of course they did. Again, though, no more Cyclopes. So it is much more straightforward and much easier to deal with them at this point. Here we go. That's the last one. We're done. Hooray! The enemy gauntlet is over. That is the most difficult part of the Temple of the Fates, I think. More difficult than the Lachesis and Atropos 3-phase boss, and more difficult than the boss that is coming up, the puzzle boss that is coming up. This enemy gauntlet was the most difficult part, but it's done. We did it. We can move on. Go ahead and get that door open, and once we do, we are on our way. There we are. We are on our way to the end of the game. But first we have some dialogue here to listen in on. So here we go.
Clotho weaves the thread of life for every mortal, god and titan. Find your thread, and you will be able to control the mirrors of the fates, the source of their power, and use them as a gateway to return to the time when Zeus betrayed you.
You were not meant to travel through the mirrors of destiny. You are meddling with powers you do not understand.
Okay, welcome to the Loom Chamber. This is the semi-final area of the game. There's technically one other area after this, but it's not really an area to explore. This is the final big explorable area, and this is also our puzzle boss. This is Clotho, the Weaver of Fate, the one who actually creates all the threads in the first place. So here we go. This is it. This is our last challenge, and then we're on our way to the end of God of War 2. Clotho herself is not that difficult. This is a puzzle boss, as I said, not an actual boss. You don't have to worry about her doing massive damage or attacks that are difficult to deal with. This boss is all about... This boss is all about having Clotho as an obstacle as opposed to being an enemy. She is just an especially unique, especially giant obstacle to stop our progress to our thread. So with that, we can go ahead and destroy these bodies that would have kept this gate from being lifted up. And now we can go ahead and lift up this gate and make our way up to the second floor of the loom chamber. I really, really, really enjoyed playing God of War 2. God of War 2 was a very special experience. The first time I played it, it was really it was really an amazing spectacle. Getting to play God of War 2 for the first time and getting to play it again for this, I really enjoy this game. It's a really, really fantastic game.
This power was never meant for mortal hands.
Clotho does have one more line she can say where she talks about how Kratos will never, ever, ever control his thread. It kind of got blocked off after I finished the enemy gauntlet. I think she says it again anyway, so it's not really a missed line. Regardless, the second floor is where we truly kick off the puzzle aspect of this boss fight. We get boss music. We get the final red orb chest of the game that was hidden down there. Very, very stinky red orb chest, the last one. Our goal here is to stop Clotho from being able to use her arms in any capacity and get this device all the way to the other side of the room by slowly moving it across. The device will go ahead and the device will automatically retreat back to its previous location if you don't stop it at a certain point. You will notice that little blue spot that glows. We're going to get a close up to it in just a second. Anytime there is a spot that glows blue, that is a quote unquote checkpoint for this platform for this thing that we're moving. That right there. Once that glows blue, that means that you are safe to let go of the device that you're moving around, because it's not going to like automatically go all the way back to the to the start of the room. It'll just retreat back to its to the most recent checkpoint that's glowing blue. Once you get it all the way to the other end of the room, you can go ahead and connect it to this little sharp little anchor there, and go ahead and push it back to where Clotho's arm is. Again, our goal here is to incapacitate all of Clotho's arms and prevent her arms from moving around. So now we just have to get this anchor back in position, and with the anchor back in position, we will be able to get Clotho to. We'll be able to get Clotho to feel a sharp little stinging sensation in the palm of her hand right there. There it is. Now her arms are all incapacitated. They cannot move. They cannot move at all. And now we have a clear path to the top floor. The top floor is where Clotho's head is, and where the fight is going to.
You will never control your threat.
As I was saying, Clotho, it's where the fight is really going to begin. Clotho has a couple of attacks. They're very, very basic attacks. You can block them, you can parry them. There's really nothing to say about the attacks because this isn't a real boss. This isn't a real boss fight. This is a puzzle boss. All you have to do is incapacitate both her left and right arm. You can slow down time to make that easier for yourself. Once you've done that, immediately run over to the right side of the arena and start climbing up the wall there. It's kind of difficult to see, but you can climb up this wall. You have to climb up this wall against a puzzle fight. Clotho doesn't have health per se. You have to do this puzzle in order to present an opportunity to kill her. If you don't do all this, then you're not going to be able to actually kill her and move on and finish the boss fight. So, we have unblocked the... We've unblocked the lever here. Now we need to pull that that pillar to a point until the switch the actual lever that we're going to need to pull is directly in front of Clotho. It's directly in front of Clotho's head. Specifically the lever on the right there. So go ahead, damage Clotho's arms some more. There we go. That lever right there, that needs to be directly in front of Clotho's face. If it's directly in front of Clotho's face, then we can go ahead and pull it. But make sure it's directly in front of her face first. There we go. Go ahead, pull it. If you pull the lever at other locations, you'll get like dead bodies that can give you lots of health and magic back. So if you're jonesing for some extra health and magic and need it, just manipulate that lever into other locations and then pull, and the things that'll pop up will be dead bodies that operate like health chests or magic chests that will give you a nice big refill. That's if you need more health and magic. Clotho shouldn't be doing that much damage to you, but if you didn't understand how to make the boss fight happen and how to make the puzzle boss fight happen, then you might be needing some extra health or magic by the end of this. So if you needed some extra health and magic, there are opportunities to get some. Just manipulate that lever to other locations, pull, and you should be fine. But at this point, we've gotten this to where it needs to be, so all we have to do now is just do the QTE and we can kill Clotho. Again, not a real boss fight, it's a puzzle boss fight. There she is. There she goes. She's down for the count. That is the last Sister of Fate, dead. Now the Loom Chamber is going to start to collapse in on itself after a few minutes. But before then, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, do what we've set out to do. It's time. The Sisters of Fate are out of the way. It is time to go back in time to the moment when Zeus betrayed us. But how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing we have to do is actually find our thread. We have to actually locate our thread. If we don't locate our thread, then we're not going to be able to do anything. We're on a limited time now, because with Clotho dead, eventually this room is going to start to collapse in on itself, so we don't have that much.
The power of the Fates resides within these great mirrors. Find your thread, and you will be able to control the mirrors and use them as a gateway to return to the time when Zeus betrayed you.
Man, I'm really not paying attention. I keep getting interrupted left and right by cutscenes and stuff. Anyway, now we can go ahead and unveil a whole bunch of threads. With threads unveiled, now all we have to do is find ours. We will know it's ours because we'll actually be seeing events of the past play out in that mirror that was behind Kratos just a second ago. If it's not ours, the mirror will start to crack a little bit, and we will be forced to pick a different thread. So don't worry, there's no consequence to messing up. It's just a guess which thread is yours minigame that you can do as many times as you want. If you pick the wrong thread, like that one, the mirror will shatter a little bit, but it won't actually break, so don't worry. Just pick your thread. I believe it is the one... I believe it's this one, right? No, it's the one next to it. It's the one directly to the left, directly to the right of the lever that we used to bring up the big spike that killed Clotho. The big axe that killed Clotho. So now we just go ahead, we mash circle, we go back, and we just keep going and going, seeing all the things in the past that we've done, everything we've done to get here in God of War 2, and a little bit more. There it is. There's the moment that Zeus betrayed us. So all we have to do now is slow time, and we will have just enough precious seconds to get to the mirror and return to the moment where Zeus betrayed us. So I'll see you all next time for the end of Let's Play God of War 2. Next time is the final episode, the final boss fight. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings and ravings. I will see you all for the finale. Bye-bye.